Hi, are you from the USA and want to qualify as a solicitor of England and Wales? If that's the case, this video is for you. I'm going to run through what's required by the SRA, that's the Solicitors Regulation Authority, for someone to qualify as a solicitor of England and Wales, and particularly going to focus this on people who are from the USA. So, first of all, let me share my screen and explain about the SQE route to qualification. So you'll see here that I've set things out very clearly. There are four elements to the qualification process through the SQE route. So this is England and Wales. Just bear in mind there is no jurisdiction, legal jurisdiction of the UK. There are in fact three legal jurisdictions in the UK. You'll be familiar with this because in the USA you have a jurisdiction for each state. Okay, so you need to have a degree or degree equivalent. You need to pass the exams, the SQE1 and the SQE2. You need to have 2 years full-time equivalent QWE, qualifying work experience, confirmed to the SRA by an SRA-regulated solicitor or a COLP. And you don't need to worry about the COLP, but that's something to do with the compliance officer within an SRA-regulated law firm. And then finally, you've got to prove your identity, criminal records checks, that sort of thing. So let me talk about these in some more detail, then I'll talk about exemptions. Okay, so a degree or degree equivalent, please note that it is not a law degree that is required. It's degree or degree equivalent, could be in any subject. The SRA uses, I think it's ENIC, some company anyway, to double check the equivalency of the qualification. You have to have that, that's it, but it doesn't have to be a law degree. So if a company, a training company requires you to do a conversion course, that's their requirement, not the requirement of the SRA. The exams, the SQE1 and the SQE2. So the SQE1 exam tests you on your legal knowledge. There are two parts to it, the FLK1 and the FLK2, functioning legal knowledge. Okay, it's tough. Of the people who sit it, about 55% pass. It's a multiple choice exam with usually 4 potential answers to each question, more than one of which could be right. It's also tough time-wise to fit it all in, so it does require discipline and practice. Then the SQE2 exam, which tests your not just your knowledge, but it tests the application of that knowledge into real life scenarios. So the SRA is having a look at you as if you were a newly qualified solicitor. Would you be a safe pair of hands for them to license? Okay, so there are 16 questions, 12 oral for 12 written for oral. The written part of the SQE2 and the SQE1, which is all written, can be sat in the Pearson View centres, which they have many of them around the world, and I'm sure there will be some in the USA, so you won't have to travel to the UK for sitting those parts of the exams. But at the time of recording this, which is March 2026, the oral parts of the SQE2, you do still have to travel to England or Wales to sit. You cannot apply to sit the SQE2 exam until you have passed the SQE1 exam, or if you were exempted from the SQE1, you obviously then can apply for the SQE2. So that's the exam. So it's the SRA who are assessing your knowledge and your competence to practice. Now then, the 2 years qualifying work experience, full-time equivalent. So let me talk a little bit about that. Full-time equivalent. So what is full-time? The SRA defines full-time as being at least 32 hours a week. Now, it could be that it's full-time equivalent, so it could be you're working only part-time. So say if you're working 16, 17 hours a week, something like that, then it may take you 4 years to get your 2 years full-time equivalent. It could also be that only part of your job is qualifying work experience. So what is qualifying work experience? It is the provision of legal services, and they make reference to the Legal Services Act with that. They've gone on to say that it does not have to be done in a law firm. It does not have to be done in English and Welsh law. It does not have to be done in England and Wales. It could be voluntary work. You can reach back in time as far as you want for your QWE, and you can use an external solicitor to do the confirmation. For example, if you don't have an SRA regulated solicitor in your company. So that's a service that we provide. I'll just bring up onto screen the service here. There we go. QWE, External Confirming Solicitor Service. So we've been doing this actually since before the SQE came in, worked closely with the SRA on this. We have, at the time of recording this video, confirmed the QWE of over 180 aspiring solicitors, some of them from the USA. As an external confirming solicitor, I have to do more than if you were just working, say, in my law firm. When I'm on the SRA website, and it's me that makes the decision as to whether what you've done is QWE, but the SRA require me to confirm that I have reviewed your work, which means obviously seeing the work, which I do via a Zoom call or a Teams call with the work staying on your computer. And I have to confirm that I got feedback from your supervisor. Now, your supervisor doesn't have to be a lawyer, but I need to get feedback from them, which I normally do through a video call, put it into a statement, send it to them for them to check over and sign and send back. I'll sign it as well. So that is that. So let me just go back to the final element, which I was showing my screen again here. So your identity, good character, criminal record. No one can avoid that. Everyone has to do that. We do have a service helping with the verification of your identity. Should that be something that you need, again, I'll just take you to that service up here. There's a nominal fee, and I do it via a Zoom call. There you go. Right. Let's go back and start talking about exemptions. You can't be exempted from the degree or degree equivalent, nor can you from your identity verification and criminal records. But there are exemptions available with regard to the exams and the QWE. So the SQE1 exam, in truth, the only way that you're going to be exempted from that is if you by chance have in fact sat the old LPC exam, the old route to qualifying, and passed that. So you could trade in an LPC pass against an SQE1 exemption. Okay. Now, people who the only people who can apply for an exemption from the SQE2 exam is people who are already qualified as lawyers. Okay, so it'd be US attorneys. And I'll talk more in detail about that in just a moment and how you do that. The SRA seem to be unwilling, and I understand why, to grant exemption from both of the exams. So if you have an LPC pass, then and you are a qualified US attorney, then you've got a choice which one you go for. If you don't have the LPC pass, but you're a US attorney, then the only exemption option is applying for exemption from the SQE2. What you choose will determine what happens with regard to exemptions from the QWE. So if you are not qualified as a lawyer, you can't get exempted from this. You have to get your QWE confirmed. If you have passed the LPC, you could trade that in for an exemption from the SQE1. If you are doing that, whether or not you are a qualified US attorney, you will still have to get the QWE confirmed. If instead you're a US qualified attorney, you're applying for the exemption from the SQE2 and you're sitting the SQE1, then you will automatically be exempted from the QWE. So you may want to roll back over this part of the video just to re-listen to those and see what applies to you and what the exemptions are. Let me now move on to how you apply for an exemption from the SQE2. This is obviously only relevant to people who are qualified US attorneys. And at this point, I would also like to just draw your attention to our YouTube channel. You're probably watching this on YouTube, so please may I ask you to subscribe, like, let other people know. We're trying to get the subscription numbers up, which would be fantastic, and bring this to the attention of other people for whom this may be of assistance. Lots of videos on here about the SQE, QWE and exemptions. Right. Now then, we have a service for helping people with SQE2 exemptions. Okay, and we run through everything in here in detail here, but we also do provide a service for a fairly nominal fee of £250 plus VAT if you're based in the UK for reviewing your drafts and commenting on them, advising you and reminding you what you need to submit. So that's there as well, and we have helped US attorneys get exemptions from the SQE2 exam. So what's involved? Let's see what the SRA says. The SRA says that a US attorney can apply for an individual SQE2 exemption. You do not have an agreed exemption, so it's the individual application. To do that, you need to prove your qualification. So the easiest way, I think, is uploading a copy of your admission certificate. Then you need to show them that you have at least 2 years legal work experience post-qualification as a US attorney. Okay. So this is done by way of a letter of reference, or it might be more than one if you had more than one period of work to make up your minimal 2 years period required legal work experience. By the way, legal work experience is a different definition from the QWE, completely different thing. So put that out of your mind. The letter of reference you would probably draft for your supervisor and then get them to sign it and submit it. There are specific things the SRA wants to have included in the application, sorry, in the reference letter, and I just showed you where we put guidance about that, but we also do offer that service to give you a simple template, review your draft or drafts, and advise you on anything that's missing. Right, you will your letter. Who can be your referee? It has to be someone who directly supervised your work. Okay, if you don't have anyone who directly supervised your work, you can't apply for the exemption. You have to sit the exam. It doesn't have to be a lawyer. If it is a lawyer, then fine. You will need to also submit a copy of proof of their qualification. So admission certificate is the easiest thing. If they're not a lawyer, but they are a professional, then similar thing. Proof of their qualification, plus you need to explain in the letter of reference how they were suitable to supervise your legal work. So it could be they were an accountant or something like that. If they're not a professional at all, they can still do all of this. Obviously there is no proof of qualification that you can send through, but you would still need to explain in the letter of reference how they were suitable to review your and supervise your legal work. Obviously, then you would need to submit the SRA application form as well as that, and their fee, which at the current position is £265. Let's have a look at the form. So this is the form, the application form. You can download that from our website, the web page I showed you, or obviously from the SRA website. So section 1 is your personal details you fill in. Section 2, or information about the jurisdiction and your local bar or law society. I think it would be bar in the USA. And which of the following practice rights your qualification gives you. Actually, I think for you as a US attorney, it would be all of these at 2.2. 3 is your ethics. 4 is what you're applying for. It is not 4A. You don't have an agreed exemption. It's 4B, and you put in the name of the organization or organizations where you've got your post-qualification legal work experience that you're referencing here. This is not very friendly for you putting more data in. Just do the best you can. It's the SRA's formatting. It's SQE2 exemption. You click here. Then you do not need to fill in 5 and 6. Sections 5 and 6 you leave blank. It's section 7 you go to, and it'd be 7B. All of your qualification, legal work experiences post-qualification, so it's that you fill in. You do not need to fill in section 8. Okay, so that's the form. And I hope that helps you. If you have questions, then please do shout, get in touch. The best way is through our website, through this form, which you can fill in, or you can email me. I would rather you do not call me, because I'm likely not to pick up the call because I'll be in meetings and then I don't have an audit trail as to who's wrong, etc., whatever. So I'd rather you email me or fill in a form, and then we can get in touch and help you. So it can either be, obviously, with regard to the SQE2 exemption, or also assistance with confirming your qualifying work experience, which I seem to have. Let's take us there. So again, the form is at the bottom there, external QWE confirmation. So fill that in there. All right. So I hope that's of help, and wish you all the best. Take care. Goodbye.